Economist says it's still too soon to tell how much impact the outbreak of the coronavirus will have on the South African economy, but has called for measured response from government. Newsroom Africa's Ziyanda Ngcobo spoke to an economist on the sidelines of the Black Business Council Summit that's taking place in Midrand.
The second day of the Black Business Council Summit is firmly underway here at the Gallagher Convention Centre in Midrand, where we've just heard from Economic Development and Trade and Industry Minister Ibrahim Patel giving a speech around how the black business community has grown over the years, what government initiatives they've put in place. And we've also heard from Health Minister Dr. Zweli Mkhize, who actually gave an update on the coronavirus this morning. However, this was before the announcement that there is a case that has been confirmed in KwaZulu-Natal. And I want us to just talk to an economist about the economics of disease. Thank you so much, Mhlanganisi, for your time. First of all, should we panic? What can we expect to happen in the economy? Will workers be affected? Just take us through what trends one can expect when there's been an outbreak.
So I had a mild panic myself because, disease control and everything else. It's a very interesting exercise, and you want to understand what measures are in place to protect people. And I think ultimately the initial sort of panic from everyone is the fact that, am I going to get sick? What's going to happen to me? And everyone wants to protect themselves. And that actually speaks to consumer confidence in general, because as soon as someone is scared of getting sick, as soon as they step out of the house to go to a restaurant, to go buy a car, or to go buy a cell phone, for instance, that person's not going to go and spend their money. That person's going to stay inside, and that's what you look at when you look at a contraction when it comes to the economics. I think globally we've, of course, seen a trend. In China, for instance, 92% of vehicle sales had dropped as soon as the announcement of the coronavirus had come up, right? So that means basically 92% of the customers potentially who were buying cars and were in the market for a car have just stayed away and have gone online. Now your showrooms are empty. And so that's the consumer confidence that something like this looks and hits and affects, and we think that that's something that's going to be a trend going forward. Of course, it's important to understand first that the economics thereof is linked to the management of the disease and everything else, and I think the institutions can improve consumer confidence by actually saying, guys, this is what we need to do in the cases of exposure, like KZN. I think the health department has done a decent job in giving us a sense of what the steps have been taken thus far. I don't think consumer confidence is going to be hit just yet as much in South Africa, but also we must understand the South African economy is an open economy. So it's an economy that's dependent on many other external barriers that we don't have control over. So imports for car parts, for instance, if you look at companies where we import their cars, French companies, Chinese, Japanese companies, big institutions that are bringing in parts into South Africa are largely affected. In fact, I've been reading stories of people bringing car parts in suitcases, because that's a whole value chain that's currently grind to a halt because there are no workers in the factory, but also people are just too scared to trade or do anything. And I think that's the trend we should be expecting.
Speaking of the management of disease, I mean, the fact that we were supposed to, as a country, have had mechanisms in place to detect it before it comes into the country, and now we have this case in KwaZulu-Natal where this particular patient was in Italy, I believe, and now they've managed to detect it, but they're already in the country. What impact would that have on consumer confidence, but also, when it comes to, the economics of managing this disease?
So I worry, and I think that's what initially worried me when I saw the initial headline, that we have someone, by the way, who got onto a plane, got through customs, and got to OR Tambo, boarded another plane from OR Tambo to Durban before that person even took themselves to hospital, right? So I think there's, of course, a big gap in how we managed entrance from the country, especially a country with high exposure like Italy, where the whole Italian football league, for instance, has been shut down because they're managing that situation. I think there's better ways of looking and managing sort of the movement of people, the ports of entry. That's something that we need to sort of firm up as we go ahead, because we will be exposed from both outside and inside as well. I don't think we should have an economics discussion around it affecting us just yet, largely because we don't know the extent of the disease itself. I think consumers just largely are going to be panicked. I think I myself was a little panicked initially, and that's a normal panic that says we have a deadly virus that's working around its way into our borders, and that's something that we need to manage and work towards. That's something that we need to understand. For me, right now, we can't really quantify the damage that's possibly there, but also because the market in itself is a bloodbath. We've last seen these numbers since 2009, and that was after the collapse of the stock market in the United States that affected everyone, right? And so those are the numbers that we can expect when you look at such outbreaks. And so for me, more than anything else, right now, what we should be doing is looking at containment measures. How do you contain it? How do you manage people who've been exposed? Because that then gives a sense of confidence to someone who says, okay, we found the disease. It was inevitable that it was going to get there, but we're managing it in such a way that I can go up and go to a restaurant, that I can get up and go buy a loaf of bread, where I don't have to go buy 25 rolls of toilet paper, where I usually buy 3 because I'm scared and I'm not going to go out. That's the kind of consumer confidence that we must protect, especially in an economy like ours where people are already not spending any money because they don't have any.
All right, well, there you have it. That's Economist Mhlanganisi Madlongolwana, just taking us through, what we could potentially be facing, saying, well, as a human being, as a South African, he too was alarmed by the news that there is, of course, confirmation of the coronavirus in KZN, but it's too soon to tell what the impact of this outbreak will be on the South African economy.